Hello, welcome. So today we continue with our genetics, and today we'll be talking about sex inheritance in humans. Now, sex inheritance in humans is just controlled by only two chromosomes, and these chromosomes is the X chromosomes as well as the Y chromosomes. So these are the two chromosomes that are responsible for the inheritance of those gametes that we looked at. So initially what happens is that the X chromosome, right, is longer than the Y chromosome. So in terms of the length, this side is longer than the Y chromosome, all right? So the X chromosome is longer than the Y chromosomes. The phenotype. So a person that has got the phenotype of XX, meaning this person is a female, all right? And a person that has got XY chromosome, meaning this person is a male. So that is about these two types of chromosome. Okay, so what happens is that at each conception, okay, the chances of having either a male or a female is equal, all right? So the chances during reproduction, we looked at conception or fertilization. So there's a chance of a person being a male or a female. So this chance is equal. So in short, it's 50-50, right? So that is what we're trying to say. So let me just illustrate this using a crossing diagram. Okay, so let us have the parent phenotype. So let us have this. Okay, so let us have XY like that. Then let us have XX as male, and we have the female. So what happens is that this is what is going to happen during conception. So we might have XX, right? Then this crosses with that one, we still have XX. So that crosses with that one, we have XY, and we have XY. So you can see that the possibility of having a child that is female or male is equal. So in short, this gives us a 50-50, all right? However, the person that determines the sex of a child is a male. So that is about sex inheritance. Now let me talk about sex linkage. Okay, so now allow me to talk about sex linkage. Okay, so there's what we call sex linkage. So in this term, this is just the occurrence of a non-sex gene, all right? So this is just the occurrence of a non-sex gene, okay, on a sex chromosome. Yeah, so sex linkage, so this is just the occurrence of a non-sex gene on a chromosome, on a sex chromosome. So what is happening is that if a gene, right, so if a gene is on the X chromosome, then it is said to be sex linkage. So ideally we have a non-sex chromosome or a non-sex gene, right, that will attach itself on a sex chromosome. So ideally this gene is not a sex gene, but it goes and it occurs on a sex gene. So that is what we call sex linkage. So if this happens, all right, then we are going to have what is called X linked, all right? We are going to have X linked. So what does it mean? Why are we saying X linked and not Y linked? It's because these conditions, they do not occur on a Y chromosomes, right? They do not occur on the Y chromosome, so they only occur on the X chromosome. So this is why this non-sex or this sex linkage only happens on a X chromosome. So that is what is happening. So to just have that example, we can look at conditions such as hemophilia. Okay, so the tendency of bleeding too much, for example, hemophilia is an example of a sex linkage condition. Another condition that we might occur, we might talk about is also colorblind. Okay, colorblind is another condition that we might talk about in this case. So this is an inherited disease, all right, where human beings bleed for too long, and this is just a colorblind, a condition whereby it's hard to distinguish colors that might look the same, all right. So people having difficulty to say maybe maroon and red, maybe certain color combination, and they just have that. So ideally it's known as red-green color blindness. So it's as a result of the non-sex gene that has occurred on the on the X chromosome. So let us just have an example of that. Okay, so we talked about hemophilia. Now, hemophilia is just a condition whereby human beings tend to bleed for longer periods than the normal, right? Due to a clotting factor. Now, these clotting factors, they are known as we've got factor 8, right, as well as factor 9. Okay, so these are the factors that are responsible for hemophilia. So now, the allele for like hemophilia, we have H, all right, which just says that the gene or the allele is dominant, all right. Then we've got the small letter what, which will just say that the gene for this allele is what, is a recessive. Okay, is the recessive. So we can have something like this. Okay, so we can have something like this. Okay, so we can have something like this. So if we have something like this, then this meaning it's a normal female. Okay, so meaning that this is a normal female. Or we can have, okay, then this will tell us this is a normal. Okay, so this is a normal carrier. This is a normal carrier female. Okay, we are able to know because it's XX. So it has got one dominant allele for hemophilia and the other recessive allele for hemophilia. So that makes her to be a normal carrier female. Then we can have, okay, so this also will tell that now this is a hemophilic female, right? So this is a hemophilic female. Okay, so this is the hemophilic female. Okay, so whereby each of these alleles, they have got a recessive, so that will tell us that that is a hemophilic female. Then we can also have hemophilic male. So for the hemophilic male, ideally what we can have is X and Y. Remember that we said sex linkage does not occur on a Y, all right, it only occurs on an X. So we can have something like this, all right. So this will tell you that it's a what, it's the hemophilic male. Okay, so that is an hemophilic male. We can also have a normal male. So a normal male will be having a dominant allele for capital letter H, and meaning this will be just a normal male, right? It has occurred, but that is a normal male, right? So similarly, that's what happens also with the red-green color blindness. Also we have the same thing, right? So ideally I won't show that, but we can use the similar concept to that. All right, so now I'm going to talk about mutation. So I'm gonna talk about mutations. So a mutation, this is just a sudden spontaneous change in the structure of a gene or in the number of chromosomes. Now we know that we've learned to say that chromosomes, okay, we've learned to say that chromosomes are what? Have got fixed numbers, right? Their number is fixed. That is what we've learned, right? So during mutation, right? So there will be a sudden change in the number of chromosomes or a structure of a gene. Okay, because even these genes, they've got specific structures. So we can have a sudden change in the structure of a gene or in the number of chromosomes. So then that condition now is what we refer to as mutation or gene mutation or chromosome mutation. So it depends. So if that mutation occurs on a chromosome, it's called chromosome mutation. If it occurs on a gene, it's called gene mutation. And that gives us to say that we have two types of mutation, right? So we have got what we call gene mutation and chromosome mutation. So however, any substance that causes mutation is called a mutagen. Write that, sir. Okay, it's called a mutagen or a mutagenic. So you can call it a mutagen or mutagenic factor, right? Because it's the one that is causing the mutation to happen. So that is what we can have. So examples of mutagens or mutagen factors can be chemicals, radiation, viruses. So these are responsible of causing mutation, especially radiation. It has been known, especially for women, that goes for scanning during pregnancy, yeah, or a lot of people, they also go for scanning. So radiation is one, and also chemicals they can have, or even viruses due to some conditions. So let me talk about the two types of mutation. Saying we have got gene mutation, right? So gene mutation, what it is that this is a